Hey all, this is Ed, the host of the Brother in Court Against All Odds cast. With me are my comrades in arms, Bonnie, Danny, and John. As always, we'll still kick it off with the three kingdoms in Kings County, aka Celtics, Lakers, Spurs, and Brooklyn. Seeing that our comrade Danny wasn't with us last time, why don't we kick it off with the Celtics?
So what do you want to know? Tell me what it is.
So from where I'm standing right now, what are your thoughts on Smart KP deal?
Yeah.
Any are Celtics exploring any trades, free agent, Marcus?
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah, I'll go into that. So I think I talked about it in the first pod we recorded. Um Obviously it's hard with Smart leaving. We all love him as a Boston fan, but I think KP definitely gets it better. You know what I mean? I talked about how having him stretch the floor, it's going to be harder for defenders to guard Tatum now because the biggest defender has to guard Porzingis now, and I think that gives room for the our guards, the Jays, to drive now. And I think that's a huge boost. Like right now, in my opinion, with the deals that are set in place, without Dame possibly coming the East, I think we're the favorites in the East, like hands down. Like I love the signing. Like I hate Smart leaving because he's like our favorite. We all grew up with him. If you're in your 30s, like you in your Celtics fan, like you love Smart. That's it. Um, but as of right now, I'm happy. We do need another guard, in my opinion. I'm interested about what we're going to do with Pritchard and Brogdon and all that. Grant, the sign trade, possibly we're going to lose him. Who knows? Um, but right now, I'm loving it. And with the signings, with the guys that we got, um, I think they're good like wing defenders that we got so far. But they don't really do much for us. You know what I mean? So I'm expecting more of a point guard play. I think that's our last signing. Um, so as of right now, I'm pumped about our guys. So
Awesome, awesome.
yeah,
Now, Vonnie, on to the Lakers. Do you think that you guys are contenders now? What's your stance with that?
I do. I do. I do. I'm buying into it. I'm drinking the purple Kool-Aid, man. My thing is, this just goes back to what I said earlier. Was that like 2 weeks ago? I've been advocating that we just kind of run it back with the guys that we got in the middle of the season, and uh, signing Rui, signing Austin Reeves, and then signing D'Lo. Like that was, I think all three of those signings are smash hits. Um, they let they waived Mo Bamba, but then bring in Jackson Hayes, which I thought was a very sneaky, nice signing.
Texas
Um,
Bigs.
yeah, Texas bigs, man, you don't go wrong with those guys.
can't go
So you,
wrong.
you wave you wave one to pick up another one.
Yeah, you got
And
it. Hey, it's a type.
yeah, right. This is type, and I think that Hayes brings a little more of what I think they're looking for in their big. Like I don't get me wrong, I do think that Obama should land on his feet somewhere because he has a talent that should be definitely advocated for around the league. But it's not what I think the Lakers needed. They needed a big that can actually be athletic and defend the rim. I think Obama's, he's kind of more on the frail side, if I can say that.
Yeah,
But
he's
yeah,
not like
so
again like yeah. When you guys have those runs, like Dwight was your main guy off the bench, like that'd be huge for you guys to have. You know what I
right.
mean? Like
And I think Jackson can fill that role. Um,
exactly.
but yeah, so I'm pumped I'm pumped for the Lakers, man. Um, and then obviously making the signing of Gabe Vincent. I think that that's the type of guard that we were kind of missing as well on that on this past run. You need a guy who can
Mm.
really run the offense, but then also knock down shots. Like Schroeder wasn't a knockdown shooter. Um, that probably sounds crazy, right? Schroeder's not a
That
knockdown
sounded
shooter.
wild, actually.
Um,
Yeah, say that 5 times fast. You can't, but you did
yeah,
well.
no, I
That
probably
was
probably
smooth.
cut my tongue. But so yeah, I'm pumped, man. I think that we've done all the right things, and the Lakers are legit. I think that we can literally walk into the season and feel like we've done a good job in the offseason. Shout out to Rob Pelinka.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Hell yeah.
shout out to Rob. He got the. I thought Reeves was gonna go for way more.
Yeah, that was a
And
bargain. That was a bargain.
and I do have to be. I am remiss. The signing of Gabe Vincent. I was right about Schroeder heading out, but Shafino's potential rookie of the year stock was already
Yeah,
on
it just went.
downtrend, like we talked about. I'm
Yeah,
pulling
yeah.
out, so that's yeah. Gabe, Gabe's going to be the backup point guard, if not the starter.
I
Depending
think,
on how
yeah,
D'Lo fits into the plans, is he going to be 6 man, give you
right.
more punch and like passing, where you have LeBron in
Based
the
off
starting lineup?
based off the way those contracts were, so I think D'Lo got 3 years, 51. Reeves got 3 years, 56. Gabe got 3 years, 33. I would think that Vincent's probably going to be the 6 man, which isn't a bad role because I you we both know that really this ship goes as AD and LeBron go, and we can see these guys probably are going to play anywhere between like 45 to tops 62 games. So in the mix, you're going to see a lot of. I think you're going to see a lot of small ball where Vincent's going to get his starts with D'Lo and Austin Reeves in the lineup. Um, so yeah, I think that I think it works itself out. But based off
Yeah,
contracts, I think that the main starting lineup might be we're gonna go probably with D'Lo, Reeves, Braun, Vando, maybe AD at the 5.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now,
And
Johnny,
that's a contender, I think. Yeah,
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 for sure.
Right.
I mean, the West is incredible right now. But after this
Uh,
weekend, you guys just
so
put your
loaded.
name back on the map, which was awesome to see. Johnny, where are you standing with your Nets? What are you thinking about free agent ideas, rumor mills? What's happening over in your neck of the woods?
yeah, man. The biggest thing is re-sign Cam Johnson, which I was obviously a proponent of. Um, Good deal. I mean, we're paying him a little extra, but I think it's pretty incentive laden. Um, he proved that he could be a solid starter on a team. Um, I mean, and role player. He's proven that he could be a role player in the playoffs on a contending team. So I love him. Him and Mikhail are boys. They call him the twins. Even though they look nothing alike, but that's awesome. It almost makes it better. Uh, so getting him back, he's a good culture guy. He can shoot. He plays team defense. I think it's really important. And we did bring in Dennis Smith Jr. and Lonnie Walker the fourth. Uh, love both of those signings. We're obviously a team that believes in reclamation projects, and we've shown it time and again to have success with guys, whether it's Spence or D'Lo or Joe. Um, that's what we do. So I think both of those guys fit the mold. Uh, Dennis is a pretty defensive forward, or defensive first point guard. Is what I meant to say. Um, and Lonnie's obviously a shooter. I would have loved, and this is the homer in me, Karis LeVert coming home,
Hmm.
but that was a little pricey for us. But in my mind, he's those two guys combined. He can shoot and he can pass. But with that being said, I do think we're in a good position. We aren't extending ourselves beyond our means at this point. The Dame stuff's out there. If he really wants to play with Mikhail, he'll force it. Otherwise, I'm not gonna go crazy about it. Um, I have heard some rumors that Ben Simmons could be on the move. There is some interest there. T-Wolves are the first team I heard. And then there's talk of us getting involved in the Dame trade as the hero location. Um, and if you're telling me we're getting hero for Ben, I'm all in. But I do believe with not held breath that Ben could come back and be somewhat at least defensive player he was for the Sixers on those runs. But if you're giving me a 23, 24-year-old shooter like that, I'll take him. Hero's a good
I'll
player.
take
You don't
anyone
you
for
don't
Ben.
bet it. You don't. I not me. Not
Anyone.
me.
Cash.
But you don't bet
Give me
against
cash.
Kentucky.
In the
You don't bet against Kentucky. So I don't know what
no,
the Blazers are thinking. Um, trying to get something else. You could always flip him if he doesn't fit the team. But to me, put him next to Scoot, who can't shoot that well. That's another who can't shoot. Uh,
who
quick
can't
one,
shoot?
but put Hero next to him. That's amazing. Shaden Sharp isn't known to be a shooter either. Simons is solid, but I digress. I'll take Hero all day. And with the Wolves, I don't want to sell him for nothing. So I do like Jaden McDaniels. If he's in the deal, I'll take it. If you're giving me like Conley and some compensation or Nas Reed and compensation, I'm cool with that too. I just think at this point, you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. We gave up we. He's the only guy left from that trade that we traded away James Harden and essentially traded away Jared Allen and Karis LeVert. And at this point, he looks like he's might be healthy. You might as well wait because he's only going to be more valuable when he's proven that he can stay on the court for fucking 10 games. So the other thing that is exciting for me is the twins, Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, are going to be on the USA FIBA roster, so the World Cup for basketball. Really cool young team. Tyrese, basically all the guys who just signed those 5-year, $260 million contracts extensions. Halliburton, Anthony Edwards.
Definitely not smart for your guys to be signing these max contracts and then going to play in the World Cup.
Right.
I know those GMs are freaking out.
I know. But it is sick, and it's great for their brands in those smaller markets. It's
for sure.
You hope they don't get Paul Georged. Knocking on wood for everyone.
That's what I'm talking about.
But yeah, I mean they're a good young team. It is interesting because none of these guys really have international experience on the squads. But that's also, as a basketball fan, pretty awesome. And as a Nets fan, to have, I don't know for sure. Maybe Brunson and Hart are on there actually. So
they are,
yeah.
New York is well represented. With 4 players, 2 of which are on my team, so I'm going to be excited. And half these guys are on my fantasy team. So, that being Halliburton.
Hell yeah!
So it's going to be cool. I'm excited, and I think it's not going to be easy for them, but they are the favorites, and they should win it. And it's going to be
interesting. Yeah, I think with that type of squad, it's like they're so young, where there's not a lot of veterans on that team. So it's like, are
Crazy
they
eyes.
Serious?
He's the veteran. Crazy eyes.
He is the veteran. And who's Crazy Eyes? You need to tell everybody that.
Bobby Portis is Crazy Eyes. And that comes from the Bucks fans.
Mr. Google.
It's out of love.
Right.
But it's that fucking Adam gaze,
Yeah.
He doesn't mess around. You don't want to mess around
I can't believe Bobby Portis is on the World Cup team. Like
it's pretty crazy. But they've always done it because like JaVale McGee made those teams.
Yeah,
it's just
right.
that gritty big,
They're just trying to find anybody.
Jeez.
He's a good
good
player.
player.
I mean, he averaged a double. So I mean,
I
think you put him in another country in one of their leagues, he's probably winning the MVP or something. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And he has a great nickname and embraces it.
Yeah, Crazy Eyes. Can't get better than that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Bucks fans love him for a reason. He's tough as nails.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember? I can picture his head. His head. Fucking boy that played with the Bulls with Portis. He broke his fucking jaw.
Oh, it was the white dude.
Yeah,
was he like Russian?
Yeah,
was he?
We'll have to get back to you on that one. But moving on, that was a moment in history.
Yeah, that was great.
You thought the Jordan Poole thing was bad. This guy's mouth was wired shut. So
yeah,
don't fuck with Bobby Portis, and we got that on Team USA, so that's pretty cool. With Austin Reeves, so maybe they'll do a hoedown and then. Sorry, Austin, that's fucked.
All right, well, moving on. Thank you all. But yeah, maybe let's kind of delve into a little bit of summer league. So keeping in with the 3 kings and kingdoms in Kings County. What are some players that you think each of you guys think within your teams that need to improve or are excited about? Kind of like to hear on both sides of the spectrum. Let's just start it up from the top. Danny, where you're at with that?
Yeah, I think I'm very interested in JD Davidson. We drafted him last year. He didn't get a lot of run for actual, the Celtics during the season, unless we were up by like 20, which actually happened a couple times. But we need to see improvement out of him. Like, he learned from Marcus Smart. He's a defender, but he can get buckets quick. He's not the greatest shooter, but he definitely had a better shot than Smart did at his age. You know what I mean? He was putting up like not triple doubles, putting double doubles like 16, 16, 20, 28, and 10. last year in the summer league. So I'm expecting a lot out of him. And honestly, I'm hearing that like he's only grown a little bit more. Like I think when he came into the draft, he was 6'1". I think the last time they measured him, he's at 6'3" now. So he's just like constantly getting bigger and like, and again, he was like 18 when we drafted him. So he's a young ass kid, you know. But I think he's one of those players that I talked about in the beginning that really could be starting on our bench and even coming off our bench or even possibly starting. Like I have a lot of faith in him because like if you can defend that one position, that will keep you on the roster. Because again, with the Celtics, like with the three guys that we have right now, you don't need someone that can score the ball constantly. You know what I mean? Like it's proven. Like Smart wasn't the best scorer, but he got in positions because of the Jays and Horford, honestly. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for him. I need to see improvement out of him. And I think if we don't, you know, he's probably gone at the deadline or so, or he's just not going to be on the roster anymore. And obviously, I think this person I'm excited to watch is obviously the guy that we traded back 900 times to get in the second round is Jordan Walsh. And the thing with him is that like everyone's saying that like he possibly might be replacing Marcus Smart. Granted, he's not the same position, but the defender wise, personally, like what I'm hearing is that you put him on the court right now without the summer league, without training camp, he can defend from 1 to 5. And that's amazing to have. And apparently he was the best defender in the entire draft. The only reason why he slid is because the kid can't shoot. Like at all. Like he's a really, really bad shooter. But that comes with confidence. You know what I mean? Like me and John talked about this years ago. John was a huge Jaylen Brown guy coming out. And like I knew of him, but I didn't know of him. John watched a little bit more Cal games, and I'll give him credit for that. That's why I'm saying it. And now obviously I love Jaylen Brown, of course. And he could not shoot. Marcus couldn't shoot. And now they're like from where they were in the beginning of college to now, like when Brown shoots, I'm never like, oh man, you know, like with Marcus Smart. Okay, then when he shoots, like he's usually locked out. You know what I mean? So
yeah, he got knocked down this year and last
for
year.
sure, dude. Yeah, for sure. Like sometimes better than Tatum. But with him, it's like we don't need scoring, but I would love to see like the hustle play. That's like Boston feeds off of that with the fan group that we have and that stadium. Like we need that, and that's why I've talked about this so many times. When people come into the Garden, like they need to be intimidated, and that's why I love the early 2000s or the late 2000s, like in the like in the 2010, 2008, 2007. Like teams feared, other than LeBron coming into the Garden, and like they just crumbled under pressure because of the fans. You know what I mean? And that comes with Marcus Smart and the energy, and KG and the energy. So if this kid can provide that and just do the hustle plays, like that's going to be so big for us. So I'm excited to see him. Yeah,
I'm interested. I love that, and I love your take on it because one of the reasons I love Anthony Black is I caught a lot of their games this year randomly, similar with the Cal stuff, and he was just all over the court. And one of the reasons I don't love Nick Smith is the second guy that I saw on that team making plays all over the place was Jordan Walsh. And I was actually surprised when I went back and I looked at his stats and I was like, wow, there's not a lot of counting stats here. But
100%.
He made an impact on those games. And like I was watching pretty casually, you know, but he was a great player and that team made a run and he was a big part of it. So I think he does bring that to your team.
Yeah, and he has 7'2" wingspan. He's 6'7". Like he's like 200 pounds. Like he's a big kid for being that young. So who knows? I mean, he
fill out.
Yeah. He could fill out. Yeah, he could be one of those guys. I know I could be biased. Obviously, whenever I talk about the Celtics, I think they're all Hall of Famers. But he could be one of the guys like in the steal of the draft. You know what I mean? The second rounders. There's always those 3 or 4 second round picks that end up making a big thing in the league. So.
And it's usually the guys that can either shoot really, really well or defend at a really, really high level. And
exactly,
he can obviously do one of those. So that's sick.
I agree. 100%. So I'm pumped.
Yeah, awesome. Vonnie, what are you thinking over in Lakers? What are you mad about? What are you hyped about?
Honestly, not too much to be mad about. Summer League, I think, is fun. It's actually a good thing to watch. I do think that. Like when you think over the last couple years, it's definitely gotten better where you've actually seen where guys have like showed up or they showed improvement. They actually ended up carrying over to that following season, like Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy last year was killing it in the summer league, and then he ended up killing it for the Pelicans this past season. But as far as the Lakers, two guys that I really do I'm looking forward to seeing are the two guys who drafted last year. It'll be Scottie Pippen Jr. and uh, Max Christine. Christine was actually getting burned last year on the regular team every now and again. 6'5", long, wiry dude, can play defense, but he's a knockdown shooter. So I think if he can show improvement as far as being what's the old school term, having some sand in your pants, because that's the thing. He's kind of long and wiry. So if he can show that he can defend and actually hold up against some of the bigger guards, I think that he can see some minutes this year. Because again, the big thing that the Lakers were missing last year was shooting, and Christie definitely can stroke it.
And Malik Beasley just left, so that
Malik Beasley just left. Yep.
And hey,
and we did
you shouldn't
Reddish,
necessarily bet against Michigan State either.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
I actually forgot that you guys had Pippen. When you said that name, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, so he didn't get much burn at all during the season. But I think that, if he shows some improvement, that'll be huge as well. I just like the pedigree and obviously the story that comes with that. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play as well.
And he needed Malik Beasley out of town because that dude dated his mom.
Yeah, it made it awkward. Yeah.
That's how weird it is, yeah.
Guy. Damn. But hey, he had LeBron. LeBron got it. It's almost
LeBron's not making it easy on him.
LeBron's almost wasn't as LeBron wasn't as bad, honestly. I know Delonte became a crackhead, but he's back now. But but like
actual crackhead?
At least she like knew him and like
actual.
Like Malik Beasley was basically just a fuckboy for his mom.
Yeah.
Like it was a casual.
Honestly,
what's up with the Lakers culture? Odom? You got a lot of former addicts.
I like it's
weird.
No.
The lights are bright. Man. You're talking about LA.
What's that thing that Jared Allen said in the playoffs? He said I guess the lights were just too bright.
Yeah. Oh God, you're quoting Jared Allen against me.
Sorry, I had to do it.
Well, speaking of Allen and Burn, Johnny, where you at with the Nets? Any improvements you're looking to see in the summer league?
Yeah, so the big one is my boy David Duke Jr. of Providence, and I have to specify that because it is one of the more unfortunate names in sports. Because
the guy got drafted to Toronto.
Yeah,
that's tough.
That's tough.
It is tough, but like, all right,
he could have went to the Magic.
Yeah, he should have. We talked about that last week, but my gosh, just throw me off completely. No, David Duke, we actually rescinded his qualifying offer, but he's played some minutes for us, and he's a solid dude. He was actually a very highly touted prospect coming out. Like when he was at Providence, they were early in that year, he was in top 10 territory, and then I think he went undrafted, or we took him like super late. But he did see some minutes last year, and if he wants to make the team, he's going to need to show out. And we brought in some other guys, like Kennedy Chandler was just drafted, solid player that got drafted by Memphis. He's a little dude, but that's a point guard, competition for him. Another guy I'm really interested to see is Raekwon Gray, who's actually we drafted in 2021, and he's been just a consistent Long Island net. But he's a bigger dude, kind of hefty, power forward type, which is someone we could use on the team, a little bigger dude. So he has a chance to actually crack the roster, at least crack some two ways with a good showing. And then obviously I want to see our draft picks that are healthy play, which is Noah Clowney. I want to see what he's got against this level of talent on a consistent basis, and Jalen Wilson as well, who we got pretty late, but as a upperclassman who scored over 20 points at Kansas, he could be one of those guys that makes some waves at least enough to see the floor a bit for the Nets, which could be tough. But also, we are quasi contending, tanking, rebuilding, retooling, as they say.
Retooling.
Retooling. So maybe he could, really put his foot down as an older guy, because everyone's so fucking young these days. He's like 22 years old, 21 years old, and he's one of the older guys. So those are the main ones for me. But I do like our roster. I think there's some interesting guys from some other teams like Kennedy, Chandler, and stuff that could pop. So it'll be interesting. Always good. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to go crazy for us, but it could be a good summer league roster. So.
And with wrapping all this up, are there players that any of you guys find outside of your teams, or that have some spark that you think that could really blow up? So Danny, what do you think with that? Anyone else out there you're looking at?
Yeah, I think it's kind of an obvious one, and I'm not thinking too hard with this one, but I've been a huge Scoot guy, so I just think he's gonna explode in the summer league. I think it's gonna like show why he was picked at number 2. Like, I think he's just gonna go wild. Like, he's gonna be one of those names that we hear every year that like in the top 5 that just like absolutely dominates and makes a name for himself and making it known that he's NBA ready. You know what I mean? I just think he's explosive. He's gonna be able to defend. He's gonna put up 31 game. And honestly, I'm already predicting that they're probably gonna be benching him by the fourth quarter because they've seen enough. They're just gonna pull him out of the summer league because he is gonna be that good, in my opinion.
For those that don't know, which team is he playing with?
Who? Scoot?
Portland.
Yeah.
Scooty.
Trailblazers.
Portland.
Yeah, no, I'm just helping out the culture out there.
I thought you were testing me for something.
No,
like,
no,
oh,
no,
what?
no.
Did a trade happen?
Yeah, no
What
magical.
college did he go to?
Is
Yeah.
Dame still there?
That's your
What is his
question.
birthday? Exact
What
year.
is his birthday?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my pick.
All right. Bonnie, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna go with the defending champs, and I'm gonna go with their last year pick, Christian Braun. I feel like he has an opportunity. He has an opportunity to walk into some big time minutes this year. I kind of like the guy I brought up earlier, Trey Murphy. Like, you get drafted into these cultures with certain players, and nothing's really demanded of you right away. Trey Murphy's situation was a little different than Christian Braun's. Like, he got drafted to a team that was contending. Trey Murphy kind of got beat out by one of the guys they brought in with him as well in the draft. But he showed out during this process and then earned everything that he got this past season. So I think Braun can kind of walk into something like that with, if I'm not mistaken, they lost Bruce Brown. Did they lose KCP as well, or did they bring him back?
I haven't seen anything.
I'm not sure.
I think
I
he
haven't
may
seen anything.
be on a 2. He might have been on a 2-year or something. So he has like 1 year left. I'm not sure though.
Well,
Yeah.
But either way, I mean,
Yeah.
Bruce Brown's minutes are up, and those are big minutes. We're talking about a guy who was playing 26 to 30 minutes a game. So I think that Christian Braun walks into that kind of role, and what he does during the summer league can be something to pay attention to.
I like that a lot. He did get some burn here and there for that squad during the year.
And during the playoffs, I mean, he had that one spurt. I think it was game 4. What was that, game 3 against the Heat, where he came out and got like 11 points, and it was like the third quarter or something like that. So, dude, clearly he's an athlete, can shoot, and he's a brawly looking dude. So it's like, I think he fits a lot of what they're trying to do when they're trying to. I think the Denver Nuggets really are gonna set a tone as far as like how you build a roster with big brawly wings, and we're just gonna wear you out. And it kind of just fits their culture when you look at Jokic. The polar bear gets off the bus, and then there's a bunch of little polar bears as well. So yeah, I mean, Christian Braun is my guy that I'm looking forward to watching.
Exciting stuff. Johnny, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Cheddar Bob himself, Mr. Chet Holmgren, who
Chetty
famously injured himself last year doing like pro-ams, which wasn't necessarily the best call, trying to block LeBron. Just wait your turn, bud. Get on the court first. But I digress because he is on the summer league roster, at least tentatively. Maybe they only put him out for a bit. I mean, we'll see how much they want to really risk him now. But if he's out there, I really think Chet could. Like everyone's freaking out about Wembanyama, obviously, and rightfully so. But people forget that Chet does a lot of those things. He just does them a lot weirder.
Yeah,
And
Chet's a dog, yo.
yeah,
He's gonna be
so
good.
he is technically considered a rookie as well. So I think he can actually. I think he's either gonna lead block for Scoot because he's gonna give a comparison to Wembanyama statistically that um, people can be like, well, Wembanyama didn't do better than Chet, so we can't give him the Rookie of the Year. Scoot has the point guard stat stuffing potential, and that could make it easier for Scoot to win or for Chet to just win outright because he outplayed Wembanyama. And people are going to be like, holy shit. But I think it's realistic. I don't think it's crazy, and I think it starts in summer league at least with a certain amount of minutes to get him, warmed up, and then because you don't want to just throw him into training camp and preseason
I
cold.
saw
So
somewhere that he gained like 10 pounds already.
good.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah,
Good.
since being like
Yeah.
drafted, which was I
Good.
was like,
Yeah.
wow,
I
he's
mean,
after it.
he hurt his
He
ankle.
needs
Doesn't mean
that.
he can't
Yeah.
bench press and do one-legged push-ups. It's a thing. It
Must be
helps.
nice. It must be nice. Just eat. That's all you got
Right.
to worry about.
That's your job, boy.
Just eat. Just eat.
Yeah.
You'll
So
be
yeah,
fine.
I'm excited for Chet, and it does suck. I joked about him hurting himself, but with an 8 Mile quote, I hope everyone got that, or just sign off now.
No, yeah, if you didn't get that, you're lost in the sauce.
Yeah, but I am a fan of his. Was looking forward to him playing, and it sucked for that to happen before he even got to step on an NBA court. So I'm happy to see that he's on the mend and hopefully going to be out there playing real NBA minutes, even if it's summer league and eventually for the Thunder, who are a really exciting team. So
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Like it.
Love that.
Yeah. It's gonna be really awesome to see some of this unfold, and
yeah,
kind
it
of,
is cool.
pretenders and contenders, right? And
Yeah.
it's a great segue into next segment. So this past weekend free agency just popped off. It was the wild, wild
Really
west. Attaboy, Lakers. Attaboy. um,
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see, who are already kind of shaping to be some pretenders and contenders. Who's reaching and who's actually achieving. The vision that they have for their culture and to what's to come with this season and going forward. So let's switch up the roles right now. Kurt, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So I think my pretending team, I'm going to head out east, and I'm going to go with the Philadelphia 76ers. I just feel like I'm done with the process. It's trash. It's got to be. It just needs a reboot, an absolute full reboot. And I just don't think right now. What's their GM's name? Is it what's his name?
Maury.
Morey. There it is. He's in over his skis, man. And like I said, I think they need a full reboot. Obviously, the one player that can't go is Joel Embiid, but everything else needs to go. I'd even consider moving Maxey as well. Tobias Harris got to go. James Harden has to go. So it's like, yeah, they're my pretenders. If I had to pick a contender, I'm gonna go out west, and this is a reach though. Like I really don't think they can actually win a title next year, but I just love what they're doing, and it's to kind of piggyback off of what John was just talking about with Chet. The Thunder, I think, are going to be a team that's going to really shock a lot of people this upcoming season. There's just they got too many pieces. There's just so much going on there. So much young talent, and I think they got the right coach. And I mean, You just drop a. So if we're talking about Wembanyama being this guy, and like John was just talking about, I mean, Chet is literally that.
Mm.
He's the same. He's the same type of player. But now you're talking about a team that just has a bunch of talent already. So yeah, I literally like OKC this year to be a team that can definitely make a deep run. That's gonna to some people it might shock them, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if they're going into the playoffs. They're a top 4 seed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, OKC, that's gonna be
Good answer.
that's interesting. That's really interesting. John, what about you? Who's pretending and who's actually making it happen?
Yeah, so my pretending team is the
Pretentious.
yeah, I don't know if that works or whatever, but it sounded
Uh,
good in the moment.
Yeah, I like
Is the
that.
Minnesota Timberwolves. And my question is, who the fuck are the Minnesota Timberwolves? And my reasoning
Nobody
is,
knows.
okay, you said you extended Anthony Edwards. That's what you're supposed to do. You re-signed Naz Reid, solid deal, didn't overextend, but you know, good player, big that can shoot with some strength. Um, or sign Nikhil Alexander Walker, and then what? What are you doing? You have arguably the best young player in the league, you know, all around. Like that's a big argument, so leave that to the side. Anthony Edwards is the guy that can
mm.
lead you to the promised land. Cat is a guy that could probably help lead you to the promised land. I don't dislike Cat. Jimmy did though. Love Jimmy. So for that, what that's worth. But I just don't see the moves happening. Like I love Mike Conley. I do like Jaden McDaniels. But what are you doing? What's the plan? You know, now there's some talk of Dame, but everyone's going to be linked to Dame in the next, you know, coming days. So can you actually get him? I don't think they have the assets to do it. They gave up everything to get Rudy Gobert. They blew it. So um, I see this as a situation as they're just dooming themselves to Ant leaving, and they're gonna, you know, they were a 7 seed last year, and I don't necessarily think they're better. So, um, yeah, the Wolves are my pretenders, big time. And I don't think, you know, run it back is a solid strategy right now. Like, I don't think the Thunder did anything crazy. They added some old European dude, which is probably good with all the, you know, international guys. But so there everyone was running it back and re-signing their players, so there isn't a lot of movement. But again, I just don't see the vision at all, and a lot of it does stem from that Rudy trade and just not being able to, you know, they could let D'Lo go for. I know I like Mike Conley, but he is what he is.
Mm.
D'Lo still has a ceiling, and um, with that, uh, I won't beat them anymore. Reminds me of Game of Thrones, killing
I'm sorry,
dwarves.
but before you move on, I was just a little salty with Cat and all that talk about being the best center power forward when Joker was just killing it at the time.
You know what?
I was put off. I was
Say
really put off.
it's strange, and I'm not going to be his defender. I do root for him, but odd move, odd move. The timing specifically, you
Mm.
got to feel that in your heart of hearts, and if you don't, you're soft. But or you just need someone to tell you that you're great. But I digress. Keep that mindset. Let's see it in the season because all I've seen
Word.
is playing games and early exits. So, but I don't think it's all on Cat. I don't think they've done a good job, you know, and rest in peace, Flip. Like, I think that threw them off. Then they hired his son. Like, that's an awkward thing if he doesn't do well, yada, yada. And I don't even know who the coach is right now. It's shit, you know, but I just don't see the vision. So, um, yeah, the team that I do see the vision with, on the other hand, is the team that traded for the guy that everyone should have waited to trade for, and that's Donovan Mitchell and the Cavaliers. I think
I
they
like them.
are contenders in a big way because the East is wide open, and if you're, you know, I did try to be a little cute. I'm not going to pick the Bucks. I'm not to pick the Celtics because that's Danny's team, and um, those are the real guys, right? But I think if another team is going to make a push, then the Cavaliers have all the weaponry they need. And it starts with obviously Donovan Mitchell. It keeps going with the Jedi throwback to his draft night outfit, Darius Garland, my boy Big J, Jared Allen, and then Evan Mobley, and then yes, okay, who's your three? They addressed that. They re-signed Karras, who I obviously love. They made a trade for Max Strus, who just made a push in the playoffs and was obviously a major part of that team's success. And they also signed George Niang, who also was a part of the Sixers' success and also shoots threes. So you got like a couple different flavors to play the three, maybe the two, a couple, the second two guys there play the four a little bit. That's a really dang good roster. I think Cora might still be there. So I think they have the size and the guard play and the 3-point shooting to really give people fits. And then, like I said, if it's not going to be the Celtics or the Bucks, they're like I feel way better about them than I do about the Heat or Philly at this moment in time. And if Dame goes to the Heat, good for them. But I think they were really close to being my pretender, because
they lost
a lot, and if this Dame deal doesn't go through, you pissed off Tyler Hero. You pissed off Tyler Hero. Half your team is gone, and you don't have a point guard because you let Gabe walk because you wanted Dame. It's like net stuff.
Yep.
Go exactly. Yeah.
So
sorry.
Those are my contenders and pretenders. Also, shout out the Suns. They had absolutely no cap room, and I love a lot of what they did, including Eubanks and Yuta Watanabe, 3-point shooting and a big, and Eric Gordon. Love that too. So I think they did what they could with the limited money around that big four to actually be a contender. So I think, just to weigh in on them, I think they're more towards that contention than being a pretender.
Yeah, contention, not pretentious, right?
Yeah, sure. I think it seems like it should be the right word to be.
When you put them next to each other, it does sound like they should exist.
I'm not addicted. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a word. I just don't know.
I know it's a word. I know it's a word.
I didn't even know it was a word, so we're good.
Yeah.
Then. You got me.
Yeah. The definitions are highly different, but let's move on.
As Danny enlightens us with where he's at and some pretentious and or contenders, I'll look up the definition for us.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah. So my pretender is Washington. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. We're joking.
Commanders?
That wasn't a good joke.
No, the Wizards. I'm joking.
I know.
I
know.
That's obvious. It's tough because contenders, I was gonna pick the Cavs, and I loved what the Cavs did. Like, I don't want to copy what John said, but I literally had it written down that I was going to talk about the Cavs. So you literally covered it for me. And other than going off of like
I thought you were going to say another team. It's a reach.
What do you think I was going to say?
You got familiarity with the head coach and whatnot, and I really like what they're doing.
You like what they're doing?
It's funny when you said that. It's funny when you said that.
Spicy.
So hold on. It's funny when you said that because my pretender is literally Houston.
No, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, dive into it. Yeah, word. That's
so I'll dive into that. So I'm gonna pick them, and I'm gonna talk about another team right after that as well. And both of them are kind of spicy because I think you obviously love Houston and what they're doing, but I'm gonna go off of that. So like prior to these last two signings, I probably would have picked them as like one of my top favorite young teams going forward. But the signings that they just did is like the most idiotic move I've ever seen in the last like 5 years or so. Honestly, like you signed Dylan Brooks for 80 mil, dude. What are you doing? And then you signed Fred VanVleet that literally shot like barely over 30% over three last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's a horrible defender. And then you sign those two players. Are they coming off the bench? So that means both of them are starting. You're not paying that money to have them come off the bench unless you're the fucking the Los
Yeah,
Angeles
they have to
Lakers
start.
or the Boston Celtics. You know what I mean? Like Brogdon
Yeah,
comes off the
they have
bench
to.
with 20 mil a year because we're gonna win it. We're looking to win a chip. Like where's their direction? Like I love
Freudian slip.
like I love the slipping in the draft and getting that guy. I wanted him more than anybody. I think everyone was confused on why he was falling, and then just
Cam
processing
Whitmore, right?
through. Whitmore, and I'm like, I was so pumped that they got him, and then with the process of their young dudes developing, I thought like in getting that head coach, like I just thought they were in like prime position of like being that next team that's really truly building through the draft. And I love how teams do that because if you look through the history, like every single great team that wins a championship builds through the draft. Their top players through the draft. Like barely once in a while you might get that star player that's going to sign with the team and they're going to win the whole thing. It's all through the draft, and I love how teams do that. So it's just weird. It's like what do you who are you trying to be? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and
And
it's
it's just
interesting because it is similar to what we kind of made a case for the Spurs last week, which
right.
was add some
Mm-hmm.
vets,
Mm.
get into contention,
Like they
get
have a good
get
idea.
get
Yeah.
your good play, get your good young players playoff experience because
Hmm.
like we've talked about this a ton, but like I would not bet against Jason Tatum winning a title because he's been there, done that since the jump, and I know he's had his yips and yada yada, but he's still young and he's been this close.
Yeah.
So that experience, especially, his rookie year, they made waves.
Yeah.
And, I think if you can get your young guys playoff experience, there's just Jamal Murray.
And that's
Like
that's the
he
thing.
tapped into
Yeah.
bubble Jamal and those duels with Donovan Mitchell for 50
Mm-hmm.
points. And that's part of the reason that the Nuggets won the ship.
Right. And like the thing is like I love the process of like getting vets, but getting vets on the right deal that are going to
Right.
come off the bench and
Yeah.
improve these rookies that like, all right, like a Patrick Beverly, like, he's coming off the bench on every single team. No, yeah, granted, it's like Marcus Smart, like you hate him on your team, but you love him on your team, but you hate him going against them. You know what I mean? And
I
it's
love
like,
Marcus.
yeah, of course, but you know what I mean. Like other people hate Marcus just because
Yeah,
of the way he
Kyle.
plays. Kyle, and that's like a Laker fan. So,
Yeah.
anyway, but it's getting vets on a small deal on like the minimum contracts and like, but not signing people that literally disappeared. Like Fred, like he was one of the main reasons why Toronto didn't do anything this year. Like he's their
I
starting
don't.
point guard. He disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, he
I
definitely
mean,
had a
see,
down year. He had a
he had a
down year,
down year, bro, and he signed a max contract.
but
That's
because
wild.
he has championship pedigree, though. I mean, he's won a championship, and I think that uh, just me having more belief in Udoka. I got mad love
Yeah,
for
yeah, no, I love
Udoka,
it.
and
Yeah,
that's part of my reason why I thought you guys kind of slipped this year. It wasn't so much about the rosters; there was
yeah,
lack of coaching and stuff like that. But I digress. So. But I think Udoka has a vision for what he wants to do with this roster. And when you think realistically on like the timetable maybe on this team, I don't obviously when I said contender, I don't think that they legit walk into the season
yeah.
and win the
They're gonna
championship this year.
improve.
But
Yeah,
they're gonna improve in a way in which people might be shocked. And I think Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet are good guys. Because you think about everyone on that team is like uber young. We're talking about guys that are in their first and second year of their rookie contracts.
yeah. They're under the
So
age of
what
like 23. It's wild.
right when these contracts run out, like now they're talking about, oh, it's time to sign Jabari Smith. It's gonna be time to possibly resign Baby Joker, Jalen Green, Cam Whitmore for like Amir Thomas. Like, bro, I just think that you really can't go wrong when you sign two guys that are pros. One thing that you can, I mean, listen, I'll talk a bunch of shit about Dylan Brooks,
Yeah,
but he's a professional. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you want a guy who can come in and show these young guys how to come in and leave the BS at the door. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like Dylan Brooks can
Not the best
be able to
example
like.
of bullshit.
yeah. No, I don't know about Dylan Brooks leaving the BS at the door.
Well,
I know your point. I know
from
you're
this,
trying to say. Yeah,
Yeah,
from the
clock
standpoint of
in,
him
do your
seeing,
work.
yeah,
He
yeah,
just he should have
and get
not
out.
touched the bear. poke the bear, as they say.
You don't touch the king ever.
But
Ever.
either you're living in or you're learning, right?
Yeah.
So clearly he has somebody who could tell him like I learned from that. You know what I mean?
Hopefully,
Yeah, that's true.
we'll see
so
what
I-
haircut
it-
he
It's
comes out
tough, dude. It's tough. I think the Rockets are a type of team that we could talk about for hours because it's like again
so
what I
much
said, like
talent, so much talent, in the
so
roster,
much
man.
talent, and we love the head coach. He's proven. So we know he has that defensive presence in him, and he gets a defensive player.
Right.
And it's just like it can go bad, it can go good, but I just don't want the young players to diminish their confidence with these bets coming in.
Right,
And that's my biggest
and here's the
worry.
thing that kills me is, you know who would have made a lot of sense for this Rockets team, especially because Cam Whitmore might not be healthy. You could use a little extra defense, some length, some grit, a little bit of 3-point shooting. Kenyon Martin Jr., who they just traded for 2 second-round
This-
picks and
two
only had a
second-round pick,
year and like less than 2 million or 3 million on the books.
He kind of didn't fit. I mean, when you think about all the wings they have, it's tough. Because
They have so many.
Brooks
They
and
got rid of
Brooks
Juice
can't
Martin.
shoot
Jr.
either. What?
My fault. Who was that? You said he couldn't shoot? Brooks. Oh, Brooks. Yeah, Brooks can't shoot. Yeah, no, not at all.
Either way, yeah. So
Yeah, moving on.
I mean, I could go in. I'm not going to talk about it. So I'm going to let you go into the next segment, and we're not going to talk about this, but yeah.
Well, we still,
You didn't give me your contender.
yeah.
Yeah, give us your contender.
You're my contender really quick. I'm not going to talk about it for a while because we have other things to go talk about. But I mean, contender, like I'm not going with the Celtics. But I mean, I'll be real. Like the best team that it proved that didn't lose any value, and we already covered it. I don't think it's perfect. Is the Lakers? I hate fucking saying it because I hate the Lakers, but like they got better. They didn't lose anyone besides a bench player or two, and they added a guy that was in the Eastern Conference Finals and then the finals 2 years in a row, and he started on that team. And personally, in my opinion, Miami's we go through Miami basically, or I should say, Miami tries to go through us, and they end up getting us sometimes. But he was one of the main guys why they won. Like Jimmy, playoff Jimmy. Before we continue, playoff Jimmy needs to die. That name is dead because if you're mentioning
wow.
that, he is not playoff Jimmy. He was playoff Jimmy like 2 years ago. He didn't do anything against. He fell apart in the finals. He had barely any shots. Like he was scared to shoot. Everyone watched it. I love Jimmy Butler as a guy and shit, but like he's not the main reason why they even got to the finals. It was those role players, and that's 1,000% right. And if you think otherwise, you got to rewatch the tapes. So,
well, that's a threat. But
I didn't know you guys were best friends.
Clearly, I'm still a little pissed about the fucking
series. Cooking with gas, brother.
Hey,
so Johnny was pretty much spot on. Pretentious adjective, attempting to impress by affecting greater importance, talent, culture, etc., than is actually possessed.
I fucking nailed it.
There you go.
So
was that on Webster?
That's
though?
almost more. That's almost better than pretender.
That's Oxford Languages.
Oxford, okay. No,
yeah,
we're
now go.
I don't want to fuck with that.
I'll go into
Someone will hit you
with
a dictionary.
Yeah. Hey. All right. Yeah. So Kiana, keeping in with the free agency forum, what are I saw Danny's eyes glow up, so I'll jump right to him. The best and worst deals that occurred in the last few days.
You want? I'm gonna go.
Oh,
yeah. I literally just covered it. So
fair.
Yeah, he covered it too.
1,000%. So you guys go for it. Save some time.
So I disagree with Danny in a way.
Ooh.
The worst deal was made by the Rockets.
It was Brooks, 1,000%.
No, it wasn't Brooks either. It was Jock Landale, who signed
Jock Landale,
a 4-year, $32 million contract. And
how much?
4 years, $32 million.
And it doesn't make sense because you got Jabari Smith and you got Baby Joker, so it's like
that's
where I'm a little
confused
by that. Yeah.
And listen, I get it. You see the Joker thing. Yeah, it does. They're pretentious. This deal is ridiculous. Like
just tryhards. They're trying to spend money when like you have money. Just like you're just like, oh, we have fucking 200 million. Let's just spend it.
This
Whoever's
is
available.
yeah.
Who wants to come to Houston?
This dude is going into
Like,
his third year.
He's 20.
He's
Yeah,
27.
27.
So he had an interesting ride. He's Australian, went to St. Mary's or some shit, Saint something, and 27, first year. And all of his stats are worse than Drew Eubanks, who replaced him on the Suns. And what did Drew sign? Drew minimum 2 years, basically.
Yeah, 2 years.
So, which is one of
yeah.
This isn't my actual best deal. It's arguably one of my favorites, the Drew Eubanks deal with the Suns, because I think you saw what he could do when Nurk was hurt 2 years ago now. Nurk played basically all this year, and that made him a little bit irrelevant, but he averaged over 12 points. He's a real backup center and even a spot starter. So to get him on the Suns with the little resources they had was really good. But it just highlights the fact that a Jock Landale deal is fucking ridiculous. You just don't do that. That's some Johan Petro ridiculousness. All right. And if you don't know what that is, good for you, because it was a soul sucking experience for Nets fans. But it was a big man that we paid way too much money, and he did absolutely nothing. And what's his role for this team? To tell them what not to do in your career? I'm being hard on it. He's okay. He's still youngish, but it just doesn't make any sense. And it by far is the worst spending of money, considering you probably could have waited 2 weeks and gotten him on a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal. Like everyone is thrown out like candy.
Like, how about last year, really quick? I just want to talk about this deal since we're talking about deals. Last year's pick, when or it was a trade that happened with Milwaukee and I think the Cavs. And remember the Cavs? I don't know how it happened, but they gave like 5 second-round picks for Jay Crowder.
Yeah,
how ridiculous was that? It's like Jay Crowder didn't do anything, but it's so funny how NBA teams are like, gearing up for deals like that with second-round picks, and it's just like
it is nuts.
It's just hilarious.
And
just
right out the gate too. Right out the gate, it's intense.
Yeah, it's funny.
So what's a team that made some pretty good deals there, John?
Yeah, so the deal that I love, and Danny kills me on this because he said it's completely irrelevant, is Mr. Herb Jones, defensive stalwart of the New Orleans Pelicans. I fell in love with this dude's game during the playing game that they won. He's a long defender, he's left-handed. He's just a great basketball player. He reminds me a little bit of like Jimmy or Paul George, where maybe more Jimmy because Paul came on a little quicker, but where he proved himself as a defensive player, but has all the athleticism and potential, like projects pretty well as a 3-point shooter, dunks, can get to the rack, is a big dude, like yoked up, can literally guard anyone. And he's on a team that I don't know what they're doing, but they're running it back essentially, this is the year of the run back. But people re-signing their players and trying to be the Nuggets. But I just think this is the deal. 4 years, $54 million also. So you're getting a great young wing with defensive prowess to put next to Zion and whatever else you do there, and Trey Murphy. And Herb's really he's the one who kind of pushed Trey to the bench, and he was hurt.
Yep, the first time around, yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned him without mentioning him, and he was injured. He had a hurt hand. So again, I love this deal. I love the player. It's a tradable deal. That's the other thing. If they want to try to trade up to add Dame or whatever, but this is the type of player like Danny was talking about with Jordan Walsh, what he could be. That's what Herb Jones is now, and he proved that in a playing game for a team that wasn't ready to be there.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
love some Herbert
Herbie.
counts.
Herbie.
Herb.
Now, Vonnie, who do you think sold their soul to the devil?
You.
This was so,
That was many years ago, sir. Many years ago.
I'm kidding.
He's on the comeback tour.
Yeah.
so this was the team that I was going to talk about as possibly being a pretender as well. The Knicks, but I don't like their deal for DiVincenzo. The story's so dope. Yeah, okay. Brunson, him, Josh Hart, all back together. They won a title together in college. Woo. Bro, listen, that's not going to be the
No.
case here in NBA. Like, and to me, it just doesn't. It again shows a team that just doesn't know like what are we doing here? What is our direction? Where are we going? That three guard look doesn't make sense to me when you still have RJ Barrett on the roster. Julius Randle. I just don't. I don't understand where this all fits in.
I totally agree.
Don't get me wrong.
I
It's not
disagree,
a
but we'll
horrible
get to
deal.
that.
It's not a horrible
I just think
deal
they're
based
all
off,
over
like,
the place. Yeah.
Right. It's not like based off the money that was spent there. I just don't understand. Okay, so like you just mentioned how Herbie got 4 years, 54. That type of player makes more sense on the Knicks right now than DiVincenzo. Like
1,000%.
you still got Quickly. You still have
Yeah.
And like I said, you still have Hart. Like there's too many guys that are too similar, and they're all the same height, which is
Well,
no one's
6'7".
taller than 6'3". So
No, DiVincenzo's 6'7".
is he? He doesn't look good on the court. Is he, bro?
No, he is.
I didn't know. I thought he was like 6'3", 6'2".
Bro, I swore I thought he was
That was
like
wild.
6'3", 6'4".
So I'll,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if he's
6'7",
6'7", I mean
that's huge.
so I don't want to jump ahead, but
I might take everything back.
I'm going to cover this now because I actually think DiVincenzo is the player that's going to provide the most in real life value to the team. And again, I'm not trying to do your guys' teams and Gabe Vincent stuff like that, but they don't have Derrick Rose. They've been looking for another guy that can handle the ball a bit, and
he proved that. Yeah, you're right.
He proved that. He shot over 43%. He's been in the pros for a bit now, and unlike the Wolves, the Pelicans, even although I like their coaching situation a little bit better, Tibbs is there, and he's a culture guy, and Villanova is a culture school, and that's why so many of them are so successful in the league. Shout out Kyle Lowry,
I got DiVincenzo at 6'4".
6'4"? Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm bugging.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way he was 6'7".
I'm like, bro, because they would show him
Did he grow? I saw him in some
but I saw
platform boots, man. I don't know.
him and Steph Curry stay next to each other, and they're like the same height. Like,
All right. Okay, so it's
6'7"
shorter.
All right. That's Clay Matthews.
He would have got if he was 6'7", he would have gotten the bag a long time ago. You know what I mean?
Enough. All right,
Sure
I blew it on that. Disregard that. Point is, I did say ball handle, so
edit it.
And I'm not gonna edit it. It's fine. I blew it.
Yeah.
Whatever. They change guys' heights every year in 2K. All right. So give me a break. KD's
by 4 inches.
Been 6. Yeah. KD's been 6'9". He's been 6'7" to 1. So fuck off. All he needs is a pair of Timberlands. Like he's my 2K my player. There's your 2 inches.
Yeah, that's
fuck off.
Well, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back.
To bring it back, yes. That culture meeting, getting those 3 guys, 2 of which are going to be on Team USA, in Hart and Brunson. I think he's the 6th man of the year type of candidate. You can let him be the 2 guard, but Quigley can also shoot. His season stats aren't always great with assists, but he saw an uptick every year in the playoffs that he's been in the playoffs, and he won a ship for the Bucks with the Bucks in a very good role as a reserve, as a 6-man type guy. And I think, again, I don't think they overextended themselves to sign him, but I think you can also expect, like, people don't throw it back to the college shit enough, but these are also guys that were super close and won a championship together at Villanova. And
I mean, Yeah, I
So
touched on that.
This
yeah,
is the NBA,
Nice
yeah, I
little,
know.
baby.
nice,
They ain't winning
Hey,
nothing.
relax.
nice little Cinderella
DiVincenzo
story.
won a ship with the Bucks. I just said this, so he
Yeah,
could be a
yeah,
part of a team, and that's what I'm saying. Jury's out with Mitch, but the rest of that roster, from Randall through the three Villanova guys and RJ Barrett, and quickly, so keep building out. Jericho Sims, I like this team. I didn't want to see them. Yeah, they talked about Harden and Lillard. I didn't want them to actually do that. This is what I wanted them to do. Sign a guy that you like, that is important to your culture, that will play team defense, that knows your two of your best players better than anyone in the league, and allow yourselves to be a team that people want to play for and that people want to root for. And I think that this is a team that can do that. So that is my in real life guy. I mean, I think he's going to put up good stats, like fantasy wise, even. That's not my fantasy pick, but I think he'll have a solid year. He'll have a role. Derrick Rose is gone. He always seemed to have a role. So, I mean, not last year as much, but
that's Tibbs being loyal to his guys though too. But
Yeah.
Now bringing it back, Vonnie, what team do you like though? What team has made something that you're into?
a contract that I like this year, I'm gonna go with the Lakers deal with Gabe Vincent. So like, and this was where I was gonna tie this all together was so we spent 3 years, 33 on to me, and now that I got Devin Chino's real height, I feel like those we're talking about similar guys. So you're talking about a guy you want to come in, play your reserve guard role, be able to facilitate the second unit, but in a pinch can come in and start and get you some buckets. Give me Gabe Vincent at 3 years, 33, rather than sorry, paying Dante 4 years for 50 mil.
I mess with it. Now, Danny, what about you? What deal have you liked? Because we obviously know you love Houston.
I love the Houston deals.
Jeff Green 1 year.
There's so many Houston deals I could talk about.
I like Jeff Green. That's a solid signing, but it's a year.
I'm not gonna lie, I really wanted Jeff Green back.
Yeah, of course. He's a great dude. I would have taken him back.
Yeah, I think Jeff Green anywhere you got to root for.
Yeah, you got to root for Jeff Green.
Actually, another great deal. Not to, I hope. Well, now let me let Danny talk though. But
no, go for it. Go for it.
There's one more great deal out there, and he's the guy that we've been talking about the last 3 weeks. Brook Lopez going back to the Bucks on the 2 years, $48 million. That was the best money spent by the Bucks, and that's why to me too they're still the clear-cut favorite in the East.
Yeah,
but
go ahead. Yeah, so
I do love that. I wish he got more years or signed with the Nets, but
I think Indiana Pacers getting Bruce Brown, I think that was cool for them. Like, I know it was a lot of money. It was 45 million, I think, for 2 years. It's a shit ton, but like he's the type of player that he how long is it?
It's only 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, 2 years, exactly. Yeah, I think it's a good team that's trying to improve, and they just signed back their big time player in Halliburton, and he's the type of guy that's like has that winning culture with him. Just coming off a chip, I think is so important too. Like, and putting it in a team like that, like, I just think it's a good player that's a win now type of guy that's going to help the team, even if they don't win in the next 2 years, which I doubt they will with that people in the East. But like, he's going to improve that roster, and I think players like that are important to have on your team. So I love that signing, even though I know it's a lot. Again, 2 years, so that's a plus. But he's a perfect player to help a young team get better quick. So I love it.
Yeah, this is the guy that we would have liked on the Rockets, but
I mean, yeah,
but he wouldn't want. He didn't want to go there. So
no one wants to go to Houston.
That's why they had Fred VanVleet $43 million.
Oh my god!
You know he's gonna end up there eventually. He's just like, yeah, screw this. I'm going there for a 1 year deal. Let's just go. Let's run it back. I'm going for the culture.
The culture.
Now, obviously, all of us are big into fantasy world, but in real life, Johnny already kind of touched on one. Who do we see being a real dominance and a game changer to a new signing? Vonnie, what are you thinking?
Is this from a fantasy perspective, or we're
No,
just talking?
in real life, just kind of like, setting up for the next jump point.
Um, this is going to be real, not real spicy, but
I like it spicy.
I I think Kyle Kuzma probably has something spooky for a year. I think I can see Kuz averaging like 25 points this year. The Wizards are just going to be so bad. He's going to be able to shoot probably 22 shots a game. Um, so yeah, I think Kuz can see a crazy spike in points, and then obviously just him being the athlete and how big he is, he's always going to be somewhere around 7 to 8 rebounds. Um, so yeah, you're talking about somebody's going to average 25 points, get 7 to 8 rebounds, and he'll be able to sprinkle in 3 or 4 assists as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think Kuz is set up for a monster year, but it'll be for a team that doesn't do jack shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Danny,
Yeah.
what about you?
I'm gonna stick on that the capital in the capital. I'm gonna stick with Jordan Poole.
Jordan
You know what I
Poole.
mean? It's gonna go to the same thing. He's just gonna jack up shots and he's gonna score like 30, average 30. And that team
Yeah.
is a disaster, dude. I don't know what is good
Yeah.
with that team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about bad deals, that Bradley Beal deal was one of the worst I've ever seen in my life. What are
Yeah.
they doing though?
Yeah.
It's just they were literally just like, yo, just screw it. This dude wants out. Let's just fucking rebuild. Let's
Yeah.
just do it.
Well, they
And
did end up flipping CP3 for Jordan Poole, so it's not as bad when you look at it that
yeah, I
way.
guess you got those two guys, but Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
so to go back to my pick for a second, you both pick guys that are going to be good on shitty team, on a shitty
Yeah.
team, one shitty team. The two guys,
Mhm.
literally the only two guys on that team, other than Taco Bell Jones. That's Johnny Davis because of his commercial. Uh,
Johnny D.
yeah,
Taco Bell.
sorry, buddy.
That's probably the biggest thing that's ever happened to him so far.
Yeah, he
Is
blew.
the
I mean,
Taco Bell. He's
don't.
been horrible in the league.
Here's the thing. Don't go on commercials too early because then it
Right.
might be Baker
Yeah.
Mayfield or Johnny Davis. Although he is in a good spot to potentially pop off this year, he's going to get minutes.
AKA Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I said Baker, didn't
They said
Oh, you
Baker.
did?
Said Baker.
I? I led with Baker.
Yeah.
That was the
Oh.
whole. That was like the yeah.
Sorry.
I didn't say DiVincenzo was the best deal. I don't love the money. I don't mind the years.
Mhm.
I just think he takes a team that was a 4 or 5 seed, whatever, and keeps them there and potentially helps them win that next series. And that's all I'm looking for. So that's why I was thinking in real life, he could be just that extra piece the Knicks needed to score or to make that extra pass.
Word.
That could have helped them make even more waves than they made this year.
Word.
But another one, and I'll be a homer on this one. I do think Cam Johnson is going to have a very important role on that Nets team, on this Nets team. And I don't hate the money. I think, we paid solid value. So we need him to be the second best player on our team this year. And I think he's up to the task. From an offensive perspective, Clax is probably the second best, unless we make any more moves, which I'm not going to hang my hat on. So that would be a second. Quick one.
Solid. No, quick. Yeah, because we're kind of nearing the end of this. Now, what about a fantasy perspective? I'm actually really interested in this because maybe I'll make a
Get some
trade
work to do.
afterwards.
Yeah. So this is the difference in just, it's segments, yada yada. But so
Because y'all ain't trading for real.
yeah, no.
Y'all ain't traded for real. Y'all just talking, man.
Well, that's actually cap because the player I'm going to talk about I just traded for, and that is Jordan Poole. For the exact reasons that you guys just outlined, the Wizards are a fucking mess. Jordan Poole is a player, and I think he already proved he could be a top 60, 75 player on a team with Steph Curry, Draymond Greened, and not typically the case. Except he had that one big one against the Celtics. Should have guarded him on that one.
It's all good.
I do one.
Yeah.
All good.
I digress.
Danny's face.
he's gonna have the opportunity to stuff the stat sheet more than he was able to with the Warriors, because obviously there's so many other guys that do so many things, and you could say, sure, who's he gonna pass to? How's he gonna get assists? He'll pass to Kuz and they'll bang him. So pause. Maybe, who knows with Kuz's outfits where he's at. But that's fucked up. I shouldn't have said that.
Okay,
moving
Danny,
on.
what about you?
Go to Kurt.
Yeah, go ahead. It's unraveling, guys. Bonnie, what do you
Go to
think?
Kurt.
So my guy is I think it's unfortunate, but I feel like we're all just gonna probably pick somebody from the Washington Wizards. But it's Johnny Davis for me. The reason for that though is because I feel like Kuz and we're two guys that it's kind of easy to see them averaging 25 points a game. But based off what Johnny just did his rookie year, like there's enough people that are probably out there that just think like this dude's a complete bum. So I feel like him walking in and coming out and possibly averaging anywhere between like 8 to like 14 points would be an absolute win, definitely from a fantasy perspective. I know in some leagues, not in our league, but in some leagues you might be able to find him on the waiver wire. So that'd be my guy. I'd be out there looking for.
Danny, you back to us?
I'm back. Yeah.
All right.
Try to take a breather real quick.
To the moon.
All good. All good, boy.
Jordan Poole to the moon.
Jordan Poole to the moon. Yeah. I mean, this is for fantasy we're talking about.
Yeah, right now.
Yes, sir.
I mean, there's so many different pieces. I'm trying to like not do the most obvious ones that like, you think this or that or whatever. But like, honestly, I really do think like Porzingis is gonna benefit for the Jays like completely. I think it's just gonna space everything out. And I think like he put up his high numbers, his career or career high numbers last year, and I think that's just gonna continue. I think they might go down just a tiny bit, but like I think he's gonna get more run in the later games. You know what I mean? Like when we're up or whatever. But like I just see it progressing with him, and I just love that. I love that. And if you want me to throw out a little crazy one, John's favorite, Miles Bridges. So that'd be a great one. He's been out of the league, so he's definitely going to do better than what he did last year. So he's back.
That's
baby.
one way to take it. So your first answer is
deal.
Porzingis. I mean, he was a top 10 center at least last year.
Yeah, I mean,
he's gonna continue to produce.
He's going to continue to produce. Yeah, I mean, like I don't want to go with someone that's not too relevant. You know what I mean? So
no, I respect it.
Yeah.
Like what I did.
No. You did it right. You did it right.
No, yeah, he just didn't want to go with Kuz.
I really wanted to go Poole, but you took Poole, and I was gonna go Gabe Vincent, but we already talked about Gabe Vincent, so it's like,
well, this is fantasy,
yeah.
But that is a relevant one, Gabe Vincent for fantasy, because he'll probably be.
And I have Gabe Vincent in like a deal or in a league, so he wasn't great.
We got
yeah. I got Gabe Vincent.
Yeah, no, you did. I was thinking I had him. I got Lonnie. That's who it was.
You got Lonnie.
Shout out to Lonnie on Brooklyn. Love it.
Lonnie.
We already covered that.
Yeah, we did. We've covered good ground.
Hurricane Lonnie.
Now, what about any before we kind of close this up, because we're pretty much at the end, rumor mill or things that we think I should say you guys think should happen, almost must happen. Danny, what about you? Where you stand with that?
So I think we might as well all make this into a group discussion. I think we should talk about like the whole Dame thing, and so we can end it like kind of on that. And obviously, what's today? Day before July 4th, so a lot of reports are coming out with Dame. The 3rd, day before July 4th.
I'm sorry.
The 3rd. Yeah. So a lot of names came out. I think the Knicks, Philly came out. The Celtics even came out. I know there's another team that was out there. The Wolves came out. So it's going to be interesting. The Jazz, yeah. So, my whole take on it really quick, and I'm going to let you guys go because we could talk about this again for hours. But I think it's so interesting because, like, unlike the Bradley Beal situation, and we covered this kind of with Bradley Beal and why he went to Phoenix, because he kind of forces his self there. Dame can't do that, in his contract. Like, he can't move. He can't say, "Oh, I want to go to Miami." Like, you can say, "Oh, I want to go here," but at the end of the day, Portland has proven that they're going to do what's best for Portland. You know what I mean? Like, for real. They're drafting these guys. Dame wants this guy. They're getting these guys. So Portland essentially is going to do whatever the best deal is, they're going to take. And that team is like, it's like wherever he goes, if it's not Miami, it's like financial like suicide. You know what I mean? Like, he could literally say, "I'm not going there," but get traded there and then just sit out for 2 years. Like, it can get weird. You know what I mean? And I just don't see Miami getting Dame unless really a third team comes in and bless him with this option like Brooklyn, like you said. But like, their assets aren't there. Like, you're not trading Bam, you're not trading Jimmy. Tyler Hero doesn't do it. Those first round picks are going to be the late 20s, probably one of the top like 30. Like, it could be like 29, 28. It could be one of the last picks if Dame goes there. So those aren't interesting. So I'm super curious on where that all goes. You know what I mean?
It's a good take. What about you, Ronnie?
Yeah, with Dame, man. I just want to see it get over with. Tired of like
I am
thinking
too,
about
yo.
these endless possibilities of where
For sure,
where
yeah.
he's gonna go. But yeah, I mean, Danny made a great point. It's not like he has a no trade clause in his contract, so like
Right.
again, Portland can do what they want with him. And really there isn't much like even naming those teams. Neither one of those teams straight up really can offer you a package where it's like, okay, I'm
Or have the
comfortable with
money.
letting go of Dame.
Yeah.
Right. So, and from that perspective, it kind of feels a lot like what Brooklyn did last year might happen this year, which is going to suck because it's probably going to be a deal that doesn't happen to the trade deadline. Portland's probably just going to drag this out, and try and see what happens at that standpoint. Like maybe a team like uh, Brooklyn or Miami or even Utah, maybe they have a young guy, blow up, and they're like, okay, well, now we're going to offer him for Dame, ship him here now. Kind of like exactly what I just said with KD going to Phoenix so late in the year. So, yeah, man, I don't see anything happening right away. To me, Portland has all the cards, and they're in no rush. They're not. They know that whatever deal they make today is not winning them the championship tomorrow. So
Sure.
Right. The longer they wait too, the more value it's going to go up. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Teams are going to get antsy and be like, "Oh, let's do this." You know what I mean? Like Philly's saying like Maxi's off the deal, like or not available. Like, yo, no player
And
is.
nobody
You know
wants
what I mean?
Harden.
Yeah, no one wants Harden. So that's another one. Like, no one wants that guy. So like, Philly is literally the most interesting one. Like, Dame, in reality, like when you look at the landscape of these superstars, like Dame going to Philly makes sense. And I said this in our first podcast. Like, Embiid, if he fails again, Embiid's gone. I promise you that. He is gone. Like, it's not working. This is his like third coach. I mean, how many coaches has he had since he's entered the league? Like 6? It's crazy.
The process is going through like 4 coaches. The process is going through
4?
Yeah. But it's never really his fault.
But exactly.
No.
So, like, he's gonna have.
Although he did
you know what I mean?
blame on everyone else, which is his fault.
Yeah, I just think Dame's in his prime. He's in his prime. You got to move Maxi. They have the deals. They have the money. They have the draft picks. Just make that happen, and those two can ride off into the sunset and actually make some fucking noise.
On a fantasy perspective, I'm a little salty. Dame wants out. I would love to see him, really coach Scoot a little bit. But what are you gonna do?
Gonna be wide open from a fantasy perspective for Scoot.
Well, yes, no. That's an obvious, and I mean that's what I'm kind of like drooling at now. But still, like to have a guy at Dame's caliber.
Yeah, but their game's class though. You're talking about 2 ball dominant guys,
right?
And obviously, Scoot, it'd be horrible for Scoot because at least today, you don't want him just standing in a corner somewhere because that's no man's land for him. He can't shoot. I'm not saying that he won't be able to develop, but right now, that's not a strength of his game.
Hey, right. This is why you guys are the experts and I'm the host.
Yeah.
John, you want to close this out?
Yeah. I'm kind of over it. Like I love Dame, and I think he makes sense in Miami. I think he makes sense in Philly. I think he makes sense for Brooklyn, but I don't want to. Again, I don't want to overextend ourselves and gut our team trading Claxton for another 30-plus-year-old. So um, it's going to be interesting because there are a lot of bidders, but I do agree with Vonnie. The Blazers have the cards. They aren't in love with Tyler Hero. So this could probably and will probably go into this season, unless somebody comes in with a haymaker offer. Um, Clip people have talked. Well, Clippers for Harden. Clippers could make sense. I don't know. It's really weird because like every team that potentially really wants them don't necessarily have the pieces other than really, Philly does, if they like Maxey. And I do think Brooklyn has the picks and the enough like serviceable players to potentially make a deal, but I don't think the way the Blazers are acting, they're taking anything less than Clax and stuff. So, and I just don't see that it being worth it because we have a solid young core that we can build around and build with. And again, this stuff, everyone cares about it, but like with LeBron thing back in the day, the decision, the Nets blew it. We didn't even really have a chance. We just thought the Jay-Z connection, but we could have signed like Rudy Gay and Amari Stoudemire that year, and would have been a really cool team to watch. But we waited for LeBron, and he didn't come to Brooklyn, so we got no one. So there's going to be teams like that, like potentially the Heat or the Clippers or the Sixers that are just going to take back an angry Harden, and none of them are going to do near what their hopes and goals are. So, I actually kind of would love to see Dame go to the Wolves. Let them prove me wrong and make a deal, but I don't know what the assets they really have outside of Ant and Cat to get that deal done. So, because they gave up everything for Gobert, so that's actually completely, that's not going to happen. So,
Yeah.
that is my take, I guess. It's pretty ambiguous answer, but
That's your answer though, Well,
he's going to
guys,
go somewhere. He's going to play basketball.
Right.
Indeed.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, it's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you for all the wise wisdoms and setting the tone for next episode. Looking forward to it.
All right, y'all.
Salute,
Oh,
fellas.
yeah. Later.